What's going on, great people in the world? It's your guy, Nicholas Wilcox, alongside my guy, the one and only, the famous one, the chosen one. Well, maybe not chosen one, but Johnny Mang.
Johnny, what's going on, brother?
Say what's up to the people.
What's going on? What's going on? What's up? What's up? Week 14. I'm out here, man, practically snowed in here in the great Northeast. So feeling good about today.
Snowed up there already?
Oh, bro, I'm pretty sure we got snow. Well, we got snow on Thanksgiving, man, like 5 or 6 inches, and then we got another probably 3 or 4 overnight, and it's going to snow today, and into tomorrow. So it is officially that time of the year representing, for the Northeast, man. But anyway, week 14, we're here. Critical week 14, man. Trying to get in the playoffs, trying to get some money for your Christmas bags and your elves and all that other good stuff. We here, man, to do that stuff for you today, man. You know what I mean?
I think you nailed it. It's a very critical week for everyone in fantasy football land, and I do think that is, these are crucial times. So
there's no facts on all of that, brother.
Yeah, I'm saying we're taking all the questions, and we're looking to get everyone's input on what it is that they need, so that way we can serve them best. And without further ado, today we're gonna rip through. Today we have 6 teams on bye, obviously. So there's gonna be choices for start sits. Obviously, you have to make it, and also for our slate of games, there's gonna be so many spots that we can do from a DFS point of view that's not too chalky, and then from a betting perspective where we're just gonna find those spots where betting we'll have to take a little bit more of a risk, I would say, this week on certain guys that we saw some volume for the last couple of weeks, or an injury impacts how their line's gonna move, or if they didn't move. So with that being said, without further ado, we're gonna start with the cover boy, your cover team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Let's get into it.
Figure I'd throw that out for you.
Let's get into it, baby. Let's get into it.
We got the Browns, the 3-9 Browns, getting 6.5 on the road, going to Pittsburgh. The over right now is 43.5. The last time I checked, and I believe that is still the over under. Yep, according to FanDuel. That being said, can we expect a better matchup in terms of pace in this game? I think when we looked at this game last, we were dealing with the elements. We were dealing with, just again, in a loss for Pittsburgh, they still look really good. Is Jameis Winston, just somehow just field position kept on getting the best of you guys in that game. And again, the weather. So there were just times where Russell Wilson still played his butt off in that game too. So it's not something that, the Browns just escaped with a win type of thing. But I think this time around, what do you think in terms of your boys taking on getting a little bit of revenge here in this spot at home?
For me, man, this is probably the healthiest that the Steelers have been all year long. And I think you're seeing the Browns they've obviously had to transform, and they've obviously had to change who they are from an identity side of things. And one of the things that Jameis Winston teams always has been he's going to throw it. That's just what it is, but he's also going to make some mistakes. There's also going to be some turnovers potentially. I do think the elements played a critical role in the last time these two teams met. But Pittsburgh, they were right there at the end. And obviously you got Baltimore on a bye this week. So for Pittsburgh, to get a win this week, that's really huge. And the Browns overall, man, a couple of areas that over the last few weeks, they haven't been actually good at. I mean, even if you just go back and look at the Monday night game against Denver, that ended up being a shootout. And I think you seen Pittsburgh last week. They can play in any type of game you want to play. But the Browns, man, 20% deep throws defensively. That's where a lot of the throws are a lot of the passing attempts are happening or deep down the field. And I think it goes without saying, our cover boy, George Pickens, we know what that is. With him, and Russ, they're going to take the shots, but also too, Cleveland has not been very good against tight end. So I expect Pat Freiermuth to have a pretty solid day as well. And you can kind of see that connection with him and Russ growing. And then just overall 276 yards passing is what the Browns have been giving up over the last 3 weeks. So obviously I feel really good about the Steelers and where they're at just as far as like this game, what they've got going on. Jerry Jeudy, went absolutely nuclear on Monday night. So I think, we should have an answer for him. But I just, like I said, man, I just think the last time these two teams played, Jaylen Warren looked really good, man. Probably the best game he played um, all season long. But I just feel really good about where Pittsburgh is at offensively and just like from a health side of things, like where they're at. Still no Cedric Tillman, my guy from UT. This week looks like he's going to be sitting this one out again. So again, man, like for me, the biggest thing that kind of makes me concerned is like, hey, man, we got to come out and we got to play the run. But I think this game in Pittsburgh, give me the Steelers. Give me the points. I'll take the over in this game because I think there's definitely going to be some points put up in this game for sure. And from a DFS side of things, I'll say like I think it's a really good opportunity, to get different. And one of the places like I love already just to be able to get different. It's not really like a crazy place, but just Pat Fryermuth, man. On DraftKings, he's practically not owned. He's $3,800 on DraftKings, practically not owned. So on a slate, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, where there's a lot of chalk, that's a place where you can still fit in your chalk and even work in some superstars to your lineup. And obviously Russ is a guy we've seen. He can still get busy. So it's kind of my takes on the game, bro.
Yeah, I think everything you said was just spot on. I would say that when it comes to this, it's like, Winston's just playing his butt off. He's been a QB4 since he's been the QB4 overall since he started and took over for Watson, which is absolutely crazy. In terms of like the matchups in this game, like you just said, healthiest matchup for Pittsburgh in terms of all things considered for injuries. It has been. You're getting Highsmith back, who's going to pose some problems per usual. I think in terms of how Pittsburgh's been playing, it's been a lot more balanced lately. Russ Wilson just continually to, elevate the pass game. And I think people didn't expect that in terms of, how we saw things considerably, before the season started. And then, during the season when Justin Fields was looking pretty good and managing the team really well. So I think with Russ, I think everyone's starting to see what Mike Tomlin had envisioned for this team in general, and with Russ Wilson at quarterback. Again, Cleveland, they're terrible against the pass. They're 30th in yards per attempt allowed, giving up 294 yards to Bo Nix, the rookie sensation, all of a sudden in Denver. So I do expect Russell Wilson to definitely cook in this game, and I do think I agree with the 6.5 here. I will take the Steelers at 6.5. I do think, like we talked about before, and you just said, Winston's going to potentially more likely going to make some mistakes in this game. And like you said, no Cedric Tillman in this game. I do think obviously they'll still be throwing the football. And then you're just hoping that for the cover, the 6.5, you're hoping that the turnovers do happen, that Pittsburgh can gain control of the clock away as well. So everything looks to be looking that way, but I will take the over in this game because the 43.5 is still a little too low. If we expect Winston to continually fire the football, this could be an easy backdoor over.
Yeah. Yeah. And like just, the last piece I'll throw out there, I think kind of goes without saying, the way this Pittsburgh Steelers roster is constructed, what do you want? Like, you want the Steelers to get up. You want them to get up early and often. Why? Because their best assets are pass rushers and in the secondary. So I agree with everything you're saying, man.
Yep. Nothing else. From a DFS perspective, I will say that today is really about getting different, like we said. I do think if we're expecting this game to, consistently pass, and it's still, people may not be targeting this game as their main pieces, whatnot, which is understandable. I will say like some interesting prices for FanDuel. For DraftKings is Elijah Moore 4,800. Where if we're expecting, without Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore has been getting a bunch of targets. So it's more about, can he do more with it? It's like 8 catches, 111 yards. on Monday night against Denver, which was supposed to be a defense that, again, we don't really target through the air all too often. But again, a very contrarian play at 4,800. Obviously, Jerry Jeudy is the person that, people be clamoring to most at 5,700. But again, like we all know, Joey Porter Jr. is one of the better corners in the game right now. And I think that if this is a matchup that might, get to more of his floor, it'd be this one. So that's why I would probably target Elijah Moore a little bit more. Or if you want to target Njoku as well, you could target him as well. As for pieces to get, more secondary pieces versus your main ones, 5,100 for Njoku. But we know he's going to be peppered with targets as well. So 9 catches, 52 yards in the last game. So it's, again, from a full point PPR perspective, it makes sense to get there as well. Next game, more of a competitive one, hopefully. The Atlanta Falcons getting 6.5 on the road. This line's been moving a couple more points up since it opened. It opened at 4.5. Now it's at plus 6.5 for the Falcons. The Vikings 10-2 on the year. The over-under is 46.5. Yeah, the Falcons have been skidding. They've been just not good with Kirk Cousins there. And, again, when it comes to this Falcons team, like, there might be some rumbles of him potentially getting pulled the plug because, look, man, 4 interceptions against the Chargers last week in a game where you were in it. You were definitely in it despite all the turnovers.
Yeah.
The Chargers barely escaped that game because the defense actually performed a bit better in that game. When it came push come to shove, though, it was just Kirk Cousins turning the ball over in critical moments of the game. Critical drives where they were getting towards the end zone. Like, it was a little bizarre, honestly. But it's like with Kirk, people are now wondering about the Achilles injury that Cousins had. There's a lot going on here, and I can understand why they're a 6.5 underdog going into Minnesota, where Minnesota is. Their defense has been, we all know the story of Minnesota's defense this year. Amoeba defense, going to take pressures in different spots, going to hit you in other places where you didn't expect it. For a sitting duck like Kirk Cousins, I don't know. There's one side of that coin. The other side of the coin, Kirk Cousins going to play his former team against Minnesota, and all of a sudden he can come out and, ball the heck out. We all know Minnesota's defense pass game is still susceptible to the air. So there's a lot of things to consider here. If I was taking a side, I'm just going to take the Vikings straight up. I think that this Falcons team has not given me any confidence, especially since the Denver game where they got blown the heck out on the road. They haven't given me much confidence since that game. And I'm going to continue that trend. I'm going to take the Vikings here. The points would be something I probably just tease down to a 3 because I think Darnold's still susceptible to throwing interceptions, still susceptible to turning football over. And although Darnold has cleaned up his game a little bit the last couple games, the variance can still be there. The over I'm going to take because I think Atlanta's going to be trailing this game and they're going to be throwing from behind. So there's other props in this game that I may like as well. But in terms of these matchups, I think give me the Vikings, tease it down to the 3 to give yourself a little bit more of a cushion there. And with the win, Minnesota would pretty much secure a playoff spot for them in general. If worse came to shove. And then with Falcons, they need a win desperately here. But I don't know. If they lose this game, there's rumblings of
Penix.
Now I'm forgetting it. Yeah, of Penix now coming into this, especially if the Bucs win against the Raiders today. Like, there could be a possibility that I don't want to say they're going to shut the season down per se, because we all know Penix can play, but it doesn't look too bright for their future for the playoffs.
Yeah, this game to me is all of those things, but it also creates a really unique dynamic that I think sometimes like we call them revenge games a lot of time, man. And I don't think it's necessarily like a revenge game. In my opinion, it's more of a familiarity game, right? Where you have Kirk Cousins who knows Kevin O'Connell's system inside and out. So what is he able to give to, Atlanta that they're not familiar with, because obviously these guys are not in the same division. They're conference foes, but not division foes. So I think that's a really interesting take. But also, too, on the other side of things, like the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell, very familiar with Kirk Cousins' strengths and very familiar with his strengths and weaknesses and what he likes to do. So I'm really curious about this game. I think this is absolutely going to be one of those games where the ball's going to be in the air quite a bit. You're right with the Vikings last 3 weeks, almost 300 yards passing for a very aggressive defense that likes to come after you, which I think we all know that and are very aware of that. But also, too, on the other flip side of things, like the Falcons have given up a ton of yards to wide receivers and, a lot of different aspects inside and outside. So I think like this could low key be one of those games where maybe you're looking at the pass catchers and not the throwers in this game.
Yeah.
So like that's just kind of a place like I'm cool with getting to. I think a couple lineups on DraftKings I'm playing today, and I'm GPP and max entry on FanDuel. But like Jordan Addison obviously is a really good call. Obviously, so is Darnell Mooney, right? When you look at that, but like you and I both have been kind of waiting on this Justin Jefferson breakout game. Like when I say breakout, like the big game. I know I'm hitting a sensitive spot. He's like, yeah.
I mean, no, yeah. He played pretty okay last week.
Yeah, no, he did.
I know.
He did. But like we're waiting on like that Justin Jefferson 1-of-1 game. Like that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting for like the 2 years ago Justin Jefferson. 10 catches, $198, 2 touchdowns. Like we're waiting on that. And like this could be one of those spots. So I'm pretty cool with playing some Justin Jefferson today. And then obviously like when you look at from like a health standpoint of things or whatnot for both sides. Stephon Gilmore not playing today for the Vikings. So I think like, Drake London is definitely a guy that's in play. When you look at, DFS, my boy Kyle Pitts, probably not going to play a ton of them because he's still burning me. But yeah, man, like, and then you look at like the running back side, right? Like you have two spots. What'd you say?
They talk about sore spots, like shoot, like
oh man, I know. Listen.
It's
if I draft Kyle Pitts,
it's not about you here. It's not about you here. I just warn people about Kyle Pitts though. Like, it's not that he's not talented. It's not like everything doesn't line up for him, but it just felt like maybe he's just one of those guys who just needs a change of scenery. Someone needs to look at him with a different lens here and utilize him differently, because it's like Kyle Pitts is just he's supposed to be an athletic specimen that's supposed to, again, be able to rework everything for your offense here. And the fact that he's not even getting like utilized that way is just really concerning for his outlook overall.
Well, even with that being said, right, tight end has traditionally been a position where like it's taken time to develop those guys, and we got spoiled with like some of these guys that hit the league and it just like we got spoiled with some of these guys where they just hit the ground and running, right? And if you think about it, like this was supposed to be the first year that Pitts had a competent quarterback in Kirk Cousins, and like it hasn't necessarily went that good. So I'm not quite closing the door on him, like long term. I think for this year, it just is what it is. The one request we had for him was like, "Yo, can you stay on the field?" And he's been on the field, but there's been some games where he was on the field, but he produced just like you and I did. Absolutely nothing. So, yeah, man. And then Kirk Cousins, man, just kind of we're talking about it, man. His fantasy production overall, man, week 11, week 10, 11 points, week 11, 5 points, week 13, 6 points. So, like, we are definitely creeping up on, like, hey, man, money's on the table. For the Falcons here, like they still have a chance to win this division. They constructed this team is that they drafted is this right here and not obviously taking Michael Penix. This is a really critical game for the Falcons in their season, and it's also a critical game for one of my future parlays that I had back in the summer, which was having the Falcons win the division. And if they're not able to come out of this game here, I think there's going to be a lot more questions than answers, because obviously the Buccaneers should handle business today against the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this is what we're into, and again, for the Vikings to keep pace with their own division here to still to have an opportunity. They have to win this game too. So, but it's more on the Falcons here. If they lose this game, it's more impactful for their overall future versus the Vikings here. So you're taking the Vikings as well?
I'm taking the Vikings, man.
Makes sense. All right, now to a game where, again, playoff implications, but may not be as competitive. We'll have to see. It could be actually, depending on now the injuries. Raiders 2-10 on the road. They're getting 6.5 going into Tampa Bay. Bucks are 6-6. Same thing. Talking about the NFC South, they need a win here to not only keep up with the rest of the NFC, but also it's pretty much them and the Falcons fighting for that last playoff spot in a way by record, but also because it's division, they would host a home playoff game. So yeah, the Bucks. I'm gonna take the Bucks here. I just think that despite all the injuries that are coming out, for the Bucks, especially their secondary, already on a pass defense that is one of the bottom fives in terms of pass defenses. I still think Baker Mayfield and these guys are gonna get it done. Him and Mike Evans are connecting. 30% target share since Mike Evans has come back. And yeah, it's just more, they really want that 1,000-yard receiving yard record for Mike Evans. And that way we, in terms of this team in general for the Bucks, I just think that their offense is still good enough to carry them, despite their defense giving up a ton of passing yardage. Again, bottom 5 in terms of that category. We heard about Bucky Irving now playing officially, so that should give you some ease in terms of this too. And on the other side with Aiden O'Connell, he's been looking really well. Just passing the rock. It's gonna be Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, stuff like that. I still think that Bucks are gonna get it done here. Makes too much sense to them not to. I know they had a somewhat letdown spot against the Panthers last week. So I probably won't go for the cover 6.5, but I will go with just the straight money line.
Yeah, I'm cool with taking the Bucks in the 6.5. Honestly, man, like just not to be different, but just I think that like you mentioned it, like, hey man, the Panthers they showed up to play, but the Panthers have been showing up to play, man, for the last couple of weeks, man. I think with the Raiders, they're a mess, bro. Like they're a mess in every avenue that you can speak of, right? So like I'm comfortable with the Bucks and that right there. If I had to say, I would probably mess with the over, just because I feel like obviously Tampa is going to be throwing the ball, they're going to be moving the ball, and again, to your point, like the Buccaneers have been pretty bad on defense. Although, like last couple of weeks, like right when we look at all the teams on the slate, they actually aren't like one of the worst. They're in the top 10, but there's also 6 teams on bye, right? So they've been about mid-pack here over the last handful of weeks. So I think like we might get a better performance from this Buccaneers defense than like we're accustomed to. And then, like you said, man, like Mike Evans, I think this is one of those spots too, man, where as I'm talking about it out loud, I might have to go back and check some of my DFS lineups. But like that record, that record's important to him, right? So it's important to those. It's not important to him. It's important to those other guys. So I think like you may see him be featured a little bit more. I'm also kind of I'm like, all right, are we going to see a little bit more Rachaad White this week just because Bucky Irvin was a little bit banged up last week, and it was so late for him to get off the injury report. That's one of the other things like I'm kind of looking at is that. And then like for a team that's so bad, to have Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, man, like those are 2 guys that have been really, really good over the last handful. And then I'm just seeing this here, man, like the Raiders, man, I think D-Hop went for 4 for 90 the last time they played. Cortland Sutton 8 for 97 and 2. So I'm about to get ready to get Mike Evans into some of my lineups for sure.
7,200 on DraftKings.
Yeah, getting ready to go back and double down on it for sure. And then like K Dot, man, K Dot has been somebody that he's fell off a little bit since Mike Evans has came back, man, for sure. I think he's somebody you can play obviously in GPPs, and obviously if you haven't been season long, you have to play him as well. But like I'm really interested in this Tampa Bay run game, just overall, man, because like we talked about some places that you can get different. That's a place where you can get different, whether you want to look at Bucky Irving is actually a running back on DraftKings, or if you pay up for all these other spots and you want to, I think their prices are very similar actually. But like one place not to be
Whose prices are similar?
Bucky Irving and Rashad White. I'm pretty sure like they're pretty close.
Bucky Irving is going to have a decent advantage in price.
Yeah, so 1,300. So yeah, so six for Bucky Irving, 5.3 for Rashad White. So like if you're playing GPP, like you can definitely
5.3 Rashad White to be
you can play Rashad White in the flex. I think that's a nice little play, and I like he's got a little prop. I've been hanging out with Nick too long. He's got a nice little prop too. I think it was 2.5 catches on DraftKings. I might mess with something like that right there for Rashad White because I do think he'll get a little bit of run today.
Makes sense. On to the question that we got. We got Dylan, we got Joe. Obviously, we appreciate that. Blessed morning, gentlemen. I'm praying.
My God, man.
Beat those dubs and make the playoffs for real, dog. Like, that's another thing. If you're on the if you're on the spectrum of getting some sacco punishments, let's hope the people not get that too.
Yeah, I avoided those big time. I'm glad of that.
Never had to, knock on, never had to do it. So, going to Dylan's question because he was first. We apologize for the long post. It's okay, bro. It's all good. You're welcome. For the overall question, we appreciate it. So we have KOC.
AOC.
AOC,
not KO.
Thought I was gonna get you.
No. I seen some guy at Red Robin yesterday, man. He had on the blankets. I was like, KOC.
I was gonna get you. Aiden O'Connell or Cooper Rush at quarterback. And then at tight end, we have Juwan Johnson, Freiermuth, or Knox. And then at the wide receiver or flex, we have a ton of options. So we'll have Akinye, we'll have DeMonte Smith, and then we'll have Brandon Allen. And then for kickers, we'll have Tyler Bass or Cameron Dicker. So, Johnny, I'll let you start first.
Pat Freiermuth, tight end. I won't take it all, man. Pat Freiermuth for sure for me. At tight end, like I mentioned, man, like the Browns just, they've had problems against tight ends. So like I'll definitely get in on that. I do like Juwan Johnson though, man. I will say that that's definitely not a bad place to be at because like somebody's got to catch the ball. But like if I had to rank them, because we still don't know. We still don't know about Kincaid yet, so I think that's the other element.
Kincaid's ruled out.
Okay, so he's out. Okay, so he's out. So then, all right. Yeah, I mean, still give me Freiermuth though, man. Like he's gonna be the number 2 there. So Freiermuth, Juwan, and then Knox, and then I'll still leave you some meat on the bone, man. So I will say the kicker. I'll go. The only reason why I would even say Bass is because like the Rams they've been all right. So I think like you might get into a situation where you might be able to get 12, 13 points. Although Dicker, the kicker, the Chiefs, like the Chargers have played the Chiefs tough, man. Like they've played them tough each time they played them. So the kickers, I think, kind of washed himself out, man. So I'll leave you some meat on the bone here, Nick, with those with the quarterback in the flex position.
Sure. What I'll say is, man, because it's one of those situations at the QB position where it's like the over-under for the Cincinnati Cowboys game is 49.5 right now. So, and then Aiden O'Connell gets a trash Bucks defense. So, and Cooper Rush has been playing a little bit more consistent. So, give me Cooper Rush because I think that having a QB at least later on as a final spot, depending on how many points you need to make up, I think is a bit more of a smarter move. Despite I think Aiden O'Connell probably has a better matchup by a hair. I think Cincinnati's in the same boat when it comes to passing yards allowed. In terms of that metric too. So give me the later guy. The guy has been a little bit more consistent. And the Steelings, I would say Aiden O'Connell probably has it. So again, if you want to go Aiden O'Connell, I have no problem with it. I just think if you go Cooper Rush, I don't think it's a big deal either because I do like having the quarterback as Monday night matchup in terms of I need to see how many points I need to make up potentially. Versus if Aiden O'Connell comes out and just gives you like 17, 18 points. Versus like with Cooper Rush will end up giving you 25, 26, something like that. The games ends up going, bananas like we just saw on freaking Monday night. I think that thinking about that to give you a decision, I'll say Cooper Rush on my end because I like having the quarterback late in my lineup finding out how many points I need to make up. Tight end, man, this is tough. I don't mind Freiermuth. I don't mind him. I don't mind Knox, but I just don't know how how back and forth Buffalo's going to be with the Rams today. So give me Juwan Johnson in a matchup that they need someone to catch the ball and have a ton of volume. I just think the matchup is there because there's the receivers for the Saints. Like, who are they right now?
Yeah.
Can someone tell me the receivers for the Saints right now? Because there's, I don't know. Because now there's no even Taysom Hill. So it's like, again, the likely beneficiary is going to be Juwan Johnson. Last week, Juwan Johnson had a season high 7 targets last week with Derek Carr. And his target share increased from 12% to 20%. So there has to be some type of give there when it comes to like who else is going to get the ball. I mean, Alvin Kamara is going to probably get the ball, I'm sure, but again,
everybody in the building knows that one, Yeah. So to your point, that's why, like I said, dude, like I don't mind Juwan Johnson like at all, man. Like I don't like I like him a lot, man, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I would just go with Juwan Johnson. I don't mind Freiermuth either. Yeah. I think it's one of those two guys for top guys, so it is what it is. The flex is going to be interesting because we got Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who's so hot right now.
Like fish grease.
Yeah, man, he literally is. In terms of that game, and we have Braylon Allen who's going to get his shot at starting today. I'll get taken on Miami, and with Devontae Smith, who's in a negative game script in terms of throwing the football. So it's always tough with these because as a 14-point favorite, we all know that favors the run game a lot more, running the clock, all these things. So it's kind of tough. And then Braylon Allen, and we have Westbrook-Ikhine. So I hate to say it, but yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how Braylon Allen's going to look today against Miami. And then the Eagles going to have to get that 14-point, lead somehow. But Devontae Smith's been the one that's suffering the most. Like,
he's been suffering the most, man. But like, kind of my take on it is like, if you're the Eagles, you kind of know like where you're at, right? And like what's one of the things like you want to do, like you want to kind of work this guy into, you want to work him into the offense and make him feel like he's a piece of it, right? And like you said, like he's the guy that's like, we were really high on him in August and he hasn't quite delivered. So I think this might be a game where they try to actually showcase him, man. So he's somebody that like, I'm cool with, man. Like I'm cool with him. And then like Westbrook-Ikhine, man, like I don't want to get too deep in the woods, man, but the Jags, bro, like they've been the Jags. They've been jagging it all year. And your boy Braylon Allen, man, they've been jagging it all year, man. And your boy Braylon Allen, man, like I think this is gonna be a really interesting spot. Like I'm in a place where like I don't have any options. Like I have to play Braylon Allen, but like the Dolphins also too have been a lot better, and your boys, man, they haven't been something to write home about, bro. So so give me Devontae Smith, man, and then followed by I would say give me Westbrook-Ikhine, man, like the stats.
I agree with you because one of those situations where I don't feel confident about the Jets in terms of like fantasy usages with the running back because we haven't seen the last several weeks, whether it be Braylon Allen just dealing with the injury or just like, again, like having enough continuity offensively to, have that running game stay consistent. So it is tough. I think Devontae Smith has a great matchup for, receiver cornerback. So you're just going to have to go with Devontae Smith. You drafted him for these type of moments. You're hoping that he scored the touchdown early so he can kind of give you his production. And then if the Eagles do ride off into the sunset, mid-game, then you're feeling pretty okay starting him versus preying on a touchdown from Westbrook-Ikhine again. Or Braylon Allen, where again we could potentially see a good volume share today. Yeah. The real question is, will he get some receiving work? I think he will, but I don't think the ceiling game is here at this moment in time, unless again something just pops off. He takes that one run and just takes it off for a huge gain. Something like that's going to have to happen. So I think in terms of just at this point going with a guy that has some safety and some ceiling, Devontae Smith. Dustin's here in the chat, our guy. He's asking about 2 receivers. Are this full point PPR, Dustin? Let's just be sure. But he's asking about Jacoby Myers, Pickens, Waddle, and Mooney starting 2 of these guys. If I were starting 2 of these guys, it would probably be Myers for the volume, especially because of the pass game. And then that's where the rest gets a little bit more trickier. Darnell Mooney, who's been somewhat a savior for some teams this year. Expecting the same thing, like passing from behind this game. We have your boy George Pickens, who's the cover boy. We have Waddle. So these are all like middle of the pack.
Stop.
What?
Stop. Keep going. So stop. They ain't all.
I already know where you're gonna go. So just
What's wrong with you? Keep going. Go ahead. That's all right.
No, I'm done. You go ahead.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
We already know where you're going with this.
Yeah, we already know. How are you not playing George Pickens? How are you not playing George Pickens?
Because divisional matchup.
Oh my shit. Here we go. Oh my shit. Here we go. Last week was a divisional matchup too.
There was.
Yeah, it was
a high scoring game.
I heard you. Okay. All right. Okay. So give me George Pickens 100%. Like definitely starting George Pickens. And then like I'm cool with Jacoby Myers, man. Like I'm definitely cool with that. Like I agree with you with Myers, man. Like I think like it's like he's been what he's been, and he's had shit played for quarterback, and like the game script, what it's gonna be. Mooney, I think would like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have definitely went Mooney, man. I think like the matchup in the scheme says play Mooney, but like what's gonna happen with Kirk Cousins? I think that's the bigger concern, man. It's like he just hasn't played well. The scheme, the matchup, the script all says Mooney. But if Kirk Cousins was playing better football, then like it would be probably Pickens and Mooney for me. But that's not the case. And then Waddle, like I think obviously Waddle would probably be 3rd for me on this list, and followed by Mooney in 4th. And the only reason why I say that is just because, like, the Dolphins are, they're obviously they are what they are, but like everybody's still upright for him, right? Like everybody's up, and I don't know what's going on with Tyreek Hill, bro. Like I don't know what's going on with him, man. But like I don't know if that was that arrest thing that happened earlier in the year where it like kind of threw everything off for him or what. But he hasn't looked the same, man. So I would say Pickens, Myers, Waddle, and Mooney would be the move for me.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm starting Myers and Pickens because they have better matchups. Waddle, there's no Sauce Gardner today, so I'm not sure if that impacts more Tyreek Hill or Waddle. But Waddle has just been such a guy that he's just been like not consistent all year long. And in Miami's case, they expect to be up in this game. Then I'm not sure if I'm gonna get there with Waddle because Jonathan Smith's been taking a ton more of his usage this year. So it's definitely not a play I would probably feel like good about. The only way it happens is if it comes out and scorches earth from a couple weeks ago when New England catching 8 catches for 144 yards. And that was just bigger chunk plays in that game. So that was the best game of his career. I mean, this season. So definitely tough. Sitting Mooney in this matchup as well, but Myers and Pickens makes sense. Pickens has a good matchup, clearly. It's somewhere where I think that Pickens has been playing good ball. So
thank you.
That being said,
that's all I wanted. That's all I want. Just give me that right there. Just give me that.
Okay. That being said, next game we have on the docket, the Panthers 13.5, 14 on some books at the moment. Going to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, who again is it's a 2-team race between the Eagles and the Lions in terms of NFC supremacy at the moment. So Johnny, take this game away.
Yeah, I think like it seems like everybody's obviously filtering more towards Saquon Barkley and filtering towards the run game. And obviously like that is the Eagles, that is what they do, right? But I think too, like this is a really good game for Jalen Hurts in this passing game to kind of get back on track. Like the Panthers haven't been good in like a lot of different spots, but really more so in the run game than in the passing game. So like, what does that mean for Jalen Hurts? Like, does that mean like Jalen Hurts and the rushing game for him goes up today? Like, is that what that means? Right?
Well,
You know what I mean?
You see Barkley's rushing line?
What is it? 120?
You're very close. It's like
Yeah.
111.
Yeah. But but it's like one of those things, man. It just feels like we know, man. Like it just feels so like, could he come in there and just go for 200 or do like the Carolina Panthers play the game of their life and like hold Saquon Barkley to 80 yards today? And I said hold him to 80 yards. Like it's just.
They wouldn't even say hold him to 80 yards. It would just be literally just he wouldn't play the second half.
Well, there's also that, right? Like, there's also that aspect of it, man. But I think too, like he's now all of a sudden after last week, like people have started to talk about him as an MVP, which
we talked about all
year long,
so
it like there's no shock there, right?
Just Carolina just gave up 152 yards to Bucky Irving.
Yeah, again, that's another element, and it was that's another element of this, man. But like also too, like the Panthers have been playing better, and like their Super Bowl has been each week against these high end teams that they've been playing, right? Like the Kansas City Chiefs, a division rival or potential division winner in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then here you go, like you got the Eagles. So like the Eagles are dogs, like they're not literal dogs, but like, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna do their thing, man. But it's just, this game feels so trappy in every aspect of the world of the universe. But like, yeah, man, for me, like I definitely feel a little bit better about the passing game than most people.
We love you, Dustin.
yeah, man. I feel a lot better about the passing game, man, probably than most people today, just because I think it could end up like that. And obviously we got a couple of injuries for them, like no Reed Blankenship for the Eagles. Dallas Goedert's out. Obviously, your guy White Chocolate, man, is he did his thing, but the Eagles secondary has been really good. So
very good, yeah.
I know this is going to be a more entertaining game, a more entertaining game.
Right the first time.
than I think, man. Than I think most people are giving credit for. So straight up, I'll keep it quick. I like the over just because I think like the Eagles could potentially get there pretty damn close to themselves. But like, do we see a better version of the Eagles? I mean, of the Panthers today? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say the Eagles come out and smash because they have taken care of business in all aspects when you look at these piss poor teams. So maybe I'll tease this down to 10 and give me the Eagles at 10. And maybe I'll move the under down to, 39 or 40 and take it from there.
Interesting. I think how I would attack this game in general is literally just probably just tease up the Panthers 21.5 and see if they overall still have that same bite to them, because Bryce Young has looked a lot better the last couple of weeks, but this is a true test for him. Going against the Philadelphia Eagles, where their pass rush by metrics is a top 10 across the board. Their secondary has been stellar. With Cooper DeJean back there, Quinyon Johnson back there. Like, who again, this is something I predicted as well, that this defense would get a lot better by just grabbing these two corners that were just sitting there on draft day. It was crazy to watch. I'm like, how did both of these guys not get drafted first round? I was like, you got to be kidding me. Oh, really?
The rich keep getting richer.
It was crazy to watch, though. I was like, yo, like, how did this not happen?
Man, it's because that listen, you know what? Like that's the reason why.
It's because corner help, and I was like, these two guys are top graded right now. They both went second round to the same team. I'm like,
but that's why, man. It's teams like the Eagles, teams like the Steelers, the Ravens, the Chiefs. Like they just make the smart pick. Like that's it. Like they just make the smart pick instead of reaching, and that's why like you end up looking back at things and you're like, how the hell did this happen? Because teams like Carolina do dumb shit like they've been doing for the history of life. But
yeah, seriously. But we digress, right?
Yeah. Old man segment's happening right here in front of
me. Yeah, I mean, look, like it's tough to, because what I've watched from Carolina the last couple games has been Bryce Young being a lot better with the football in terms of just like, his short and intermediate routes. They were non-existent when he first started this past year. He was barely getting the ball to Thielen at all. Tommy Tremble. whoever was out there playing receiver, Xavier Leggett, stuff like that. Like he was not just progressing very well at all. His reads were just too slow. So now just watching the last couple of games, again, both games, the last game went to overtime against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
The last game against the Chiefs before that was very close. So
Yeah.
until Mahomes did his magic, obviously. So, and I'm not sure if that's just the Chiefs this year or what. But again, Bryce Young was keeping these guys ahead. Got a couple prop plays for this game in general, so stay tuned. But I'll probably just tease up the Panthers, and just hopes that the Eagles just, if they get a lead, they just consistently run the football, and that there's no like real breakaway runs. It's again, Panthers defense has been so bad as well, but I think that's probably where I would attack, because the 14.5, I'm not saying the Eagles can't cover that. But they'd have to really shut down Carolina, and I think that's possible, but I'm not. But the last couple of weeks has shown us that the Panthers are going to fight to the end. So there's that. DFS wise, Barkley's price, what, 9K, something like that, right?
Yep, a cool 9K. Like yep.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah,
like it's understandable why his price might be that high.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is very easily a slate where if you don't have them, you cooked.
Yeah. I think the only way it doesn't go that way is, again, the Eagles get up 28 at halftime or something crazy. And then now it's just like, all right, now we just save Barkley here. You know what I'm saying? In some ways. I know he wants to go for the rushing record and stuff like that, but the Eagles may still want to maintain, success and keep him not as many carries, stuff like that, whatever. Getting, Kenneth Gainwell a little bit more touches in this game, getting more, what's his name? Now, man,
Shipley.
Shipley, yeah, Will Shipley, and getting him, a little bit more usage in this game if they're up big. So, that's the only possibility I could, other than that, obviously Barkley has extreme game breaking, slate breaking, numbers.
One thing I just will throw out is you were talking about like Saquon and like the usage and things like that. But I think one of the things like we've all forgotten like over the course of the year is like last year around this time, Jalen Hurts was gimpy coming into this stretch of the season. And I think like he's probably as healthy as he's been, probably because Saquon has been taking all of that away from him. So maybe it's not today, man. Maybe it's one of those things, dude, where maybe in a couple of weeks, once they lock up on one spot, maybe they sit him in, like depending on where he's at from like a rushing perspective.
That's possible.
And that right there. So like, again, man, like the more like we kind of talk about it and think about it, like maybe it might not necessarily be today because they don't play on Thursday night or anything. It's not like a short week. So like, maybe he gets there, man. Maybe it's just another typical Saquon 152, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, 50 yards. And, it is what it is, but I think like overall, I think the underlying piece for the Eagles offense, and I said this, during the offseason, is getting Jalen Hurts to the postseason healthy is the most critical thing for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's what Saquon Barkley has been here to do, is to take that load off of Jalen Hurts, and I think they've done it masterfully.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to also the Eagles rushing game in terms of their overall getting their points and getting their slew of this game going. It's like the rushing game has been a lot more potent and more successful and a lot more just diligent for their game plan this season, which makes sense from Hurts just taking some of those, brotherly shove 1 yard touchdowns from Barkley.
Yeah.
But Barkley taking away break runs and they're sticking with the run game constantly. So, and again, then using play action to beat people downfield with AJ Brown. So it's a formula for great success when it's all clicking. So next game we got the Jets getting 6.5 going into Miami. Miami still on the outside looking in for the playoffs, 5-7. With the win here, depending on what happens. We have Denver on bye, Houston on bye. So other teams that it would be unbiased. It would have to kind of wait and see like what would happen and transpire after. But again, on the outside looking in for the wild card spots currently, for the AFC, the wild card spots are the Chargers 8-4, Baltimore 8-5, Broncos 8-5. In order for Miami to even have an absolute shot at this, like the Ravens, one of these 8 teams are going to have to falter a little bit. I don't necessarily see that happen because we have only 15, 16, 17, 4 more games left. It's not exactly, I'm not going to say it's not possible because it is, because some team can always have a collapse. Denver could possibly have a collapse. But for as good as they're playing right now, just AFC is super stacked. We have, again, 7 teams already with 8 wins. So not as much wiggle room, but Miami could still potentially still make it close for anyone that might falter. The Jets, right? Where are we? Yeah. 3-9 in the year. And all this rumor talks and all this type of stuff where Aaron Rodgers, Vontae Adams, Sauce Gardner not playing, CJ Mosley now on the IR. Yeah, it's just like, look, so guys are just playing for their jobs at this point for the new regime. We all know it. And I just think that division game is one of those games you always want to try to get up for anyway. The good news is you're playing in Miami. So it's like you're not playing to the home crowd, but you're playing in great weather. So gotta take the positives while you can.
Wow.
I do expect this game to be still competitive though. You saw last week with the Jets when I didn't think they were gonna, even be at home and be somewhat competitive. They somewhat were, and a good amount of the game, they were winning, but of course, being in Jets fashion, they let it go at the end. But in terms of this team in general, at least I know that these guys will come out and fight. Because I didn't even know if these guys would come out and fight anymore because it looked like just this team would just they're just like paper at this point, paper mache, as they say. Because people are playing for their job. So what are you gonna say? Go ahead. Fucking say it. Go ahead.
Well, I had so many thoughts.
I'm sure you did say it. Go ahead.
The first thought I had running through my head was like, man, I remember back in week 1 when the Jets and 49ers played, and the 49ers had been very mid. And like, what does that say about the Jets? Ouch. Then 2, I was like, man, it's got to be rough when you're like, you know what?
I swear, you're gonna have your day. You're gonna have your day. You're gonna have your day. And when you have your day, I'm gonna take all the shots in the world. So
here's the good news. Here's the good news is when I have that day, more likely than not, what's going to happen is we're going to be like 80, 85 years old, and we're going to be in a nursing home, and we're not going to remember any of this stuff. So that'll be funny. Yeah. Okay. But
wow.
But like, yeah, like you're playing in South Beach. That's the highlight of everything for you. It's like, oh well, at least we get to play in nice weather. Like, well, I mean, I guess you got to take the positives with the positives, man. Lord. You know what I mean? But like, I remember, man, back in our week 1, 2, you were so excited, man. You had on your little Jets hat. You was all jacked up, ready to go. And, now you're 3-9, and you're like, man, I'm just happy to be playing in South Beach, man. That's all. And, man, by the way.
I swear when your team gets eliminated, you're going to get the.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Like, when we get eliminated, at least I've been able to, like, enjoy my NFL season, man. Like, it's been great for me. Like, I've been able to be, like, emotionally high. And, you guys got a lot of offensive linemen banged up too, huh? Yeah, that's tough. That's tough sledding, man. That's tough sledding. No Ahmad Gardner today.
Oh boy,
yeah. Garrett Wilson, you guys are just wasting it. Oh, sorry, Sauce. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Get that right.
Yeah, my bad.
You have an analysis. You got to keep on talking about the Jets.
Listen, I didn't even have a lot to say. This was more about you. I don't have an analysis. The Jets stink. The Dolphins will probably beat them. Looking forward to seeing what Jonnu Smith and Jalen Waddle do today. Your guy, Devon Achane. Although the Jets have been pretty good against running backs here over the last handful of weeks. So, yeah, it's just probably a game I probably won't be watching too much of. There's my analysis.
So Miami in the points. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Saints and Giants. Saints 4-8 in the year. Saints 5.5 getting on the road. Going into the other New York team, the Giants, 2-10 on the year, over under 41.5. Yeah. another shit versus stink matchup, right?
Yeah.
I would say that the Saints are so banged up for offense. Taysom Hill done for the year. Like Olave may not come back the rest of the year. Like
Killing me.
so many things that's going on. But again, staying competitive is what the Saints MO has been. Rizzy, the interim coach, playing for his job. And then the Giants, on the other hand, Brian Daboll, like I think he's still a solid head coach, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those situations where he's just getting worked.
Yeah.
And it's just not going well for him overall with this team and it's in general. So it's kind of unfortunate to see because I do like Brian Daboll as a coach. I do think he'll be better in another situation if the Giants end up going in a different direction. But I would say for this game, the 5.5, I'm not sure if I like it at more of a 3 versus a 5.5. But it's like the Giants are what? Like I think Neighbors playing could make this game a little bit more interesting if Drew Lock is anything comparable of an NFL quarterback, which I don't even know if he is. The only thing the Giants can really hang their hat on is their defense has been somewhat more better in terms of like this year in general versus like past seasons. But no Devontae Banks, he's missed his second game of the season. There's no Bobby Okereke, he's out today. Dexter Lawrence is on the IR. So it's, again, like the 5.5, like I wouldn't necessarily want to take it. I would tease it down to the 3. But I think with all these injuries on both the defense for the Giants and the offense for the Saints, like the under seems to be nice. And then give me Alvin Kamara for DFS purposes. Other than that, give me the Saints tease down and probably the under. George Pickens is out.
Stop.
Officially inactive with the hamstring.
Stop.
Yep. He ducking the Browns.
Shut up, man. You're ridiculous.
He's ducking the Browns.
You're ridiculous.
He's ducking him. He's straight ducking him.
You're ridiculous. You are ridiculous.
There's a little bit of karma coming at you, bro.
You are ridiculous. Oh my God.
Even people are saying he's ducking him.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, yep.
Here we go.
Uh-huh.
All right. Here we go. We got a game.
I won't say anymore.
We got a game. We got a game here.
What would you have to say about these shits versus stank matchup here?
Well,
we have another one upcoming.
Yep. The Giants and the Jets have been two of the worst defenses against as far as like adjusted completion percentage. So
records wise, I think it's just record wise.
Well, no, just like in the passing game, like both of them have been bad, man.
I think the Jets' weakness has been when we don't have CJ Mosley in the lineup, it changes things from a run game perspective. I would just say that. I think from a passing perspective, it hasn't been as bad, but it's been bad this year. I think for the Giants' perspective, now that again, no Dexter Lawrence is huge. Like, as well, they've had offensive line issues. Like, there's a lot of things happening for both of those squads, I'll say. But continue.
Wow. So like just in a passing game for both.
Still reeling from that Pickens news. Got it.
Just like the Giants they've been bad in the passing game. And obviously, allowing Rico Dowdle to do what he did on Thanksgiving, kind of highlight some things as well for them. And the Saints, like they have been good in spots. They obviously are down Taysom Hill. Somebody has got to catch the ball, whether that's MVS or, whoever, man. Cedric Wilson, Tipton. Like, I might even have to check my phone to see if I got some messages from him to get out there. But obviously, it's a spot where Kamara could go crazy too. But also, too, on the flip side, the Saints have also been a team that's been giving up a lot of yards in the passing game. But I don't know how they're going to be able to generate that, to your point, man, with Drew Lock. So I like the Saints, man. Like, I'll definitely take the Saints. Kamara, as far as like
Neighbors is active today.
Okay. So, like, that's a place, too, where, like, we talked about getting different and, like, not a lot of ownership. There's almost nobody playing Malik Neighbors today in DraftKings. So I think, like, to go back to kind of what we were talking about, like, two places where you can get really unique, which is probably what I'll have to go do now, is I'll probably go and swap out George Pickens for Malik Neighbors now. And then, yeah. So, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yikes is the best way you could say it, without me going on a profanity-laced tirade. As I fucking need to win in like some of these other leagues, and this is what's up. It's terrible.
Oh no,
terrible.
Well, the good news is you don't need it in every single league.
No, I don't need it in every league, but I need it in a lot of leagues. Yeah,
I hear that. I guess now it's gonna be interesting to see what that Russell Wilson prop's gonna look like now.
Right.
I hope it goes down now because I could take it, but it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, look, not too much to say about these games. Not really a playoff environment here we need to talk about. So we're moving forward to another shit first state game. The Jaguars 2-10, getting 3.5. Underdog on the road going against Tennessee Titans, who are 3-9. Over under 39.5. There's angles in this game where we could secondary pieces again for DFS purposes if we're willing to take the plunge. Are we willing to take the plunge? I'll ask. Let's play a game. I'm gonna give you a certain player that can we take the plunge on in this matchup. You just give me a quick answer, yes or no. Who do you think I'm gonna start with?
Calvin Ridley.
No, it wasn't actually.
Oh,
Travis Etienne, 5,600. Are we gonna take the plunge on him today?
DFS or season long?
Both.
Season long, you're probably dead. If you have Travis Etienne on your roster.
Actually, I have some matchups that I could potentially start him in. I could potentially start him in this thing. But
okay, it's all my Travis Etienne leagues. Dead. So yeah, I'm playing him because what the hell? Why not? DFS wise, I'm probably gonna say no.
Interesting. The only way I'll say that is because I think the Titans, for as good as they are, they are a pass funnel, so they are more susceptible against the pass. I do think getting back to Travis Etienne, getting some passing usage would be nice to see overall for his overall prospects moving forward. But I agree, I probably wouldn't start Travis Etienne in DFS. Season-long matchups, if I'm desperate today, which I'm starting between, it's between him or Rashad White today. It's definitely at a half-point PPR too, so it's a little bit more up in the air for me in terms of that. I still think he's startable in season long as like if you have two flexes you have to start, he's probably the second flex if you have to start him in a week where we have 6 teams on bye. But in terms of the game, I think the Titans are going to take this one. I think they have the formula to not only cover the points, but potentially get the over. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they don't look anything, they don't look better, especially with all these injuries like that's happened to them. But I do think that this could be a sneaky game where we're looking at as like this game should be a slow pace matchup where the Titans should dominate. But look, again, I think the Tennessee Titans are pissed off after last week, especially on defense, and I do think there's an opportunity for them to get back. In terms of things go, no Trevor Lawrence, obviously. And again, that's how things are going to go. But I think Tony Pollard is someone we could definitely start in DFS today, 6,400. It's going to be one of those guys that's just like in the middle of things where you might get lost. People might look at that box score from last game, stuff like that.
Yes.
But yeah, Ridley, are we starting him today? Season long, with everything on the line today.
Yeah, absolutely. I got no choice. Man. I got no choice. I got no choice. Literally, I'm going to shut up. This is my bench in a league I need to win. Chris Olave, Cedric Tillman, Breece Hall, Ken Walker, George Pickens. Give it to me.
Oh, man,
give it to me. My bench. Like, and I need a win. And I've got, again, just in case you didn't hear, Chris Olave, who's never coming back. Cedric Tillman, Breece Hall, Ken Walker, George Pickens. Everybody died on Friday.
Damn.
Talk about Black Friday. There's your Black Friday.
I love the puns.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Ridley gets Darby today, and Darby,
Yeah.
according to PFF, he overall allows a 85.4 matchup rating. In terms of his matchups, 68. He's graded as the 44th among 65 corners who just don't do well. Let's just say that. And Ridley playing a 30% target share, 24% those under the slots. Yeah, I think he's going to be a guy that, if we're talking about a matchup where we could definitely exploit, this could definitely be the matchup of the week in terms of being exploited here. So I think I'm with you. I got to start Ridley in a matchup where I desperately need to win as well. So I need Ridley to definitely definitely need Will Levis to definitely deliver the deep shots to Ridley today instead of Westbrook and Keeney. So we're putting that out to existence. 5,700 on DraftKings. He pretty much becomes a spot where there's other guys in the tier that could still be startable, but it's like 5,700 is like that I'm gonna start him because but I think Ridley is a good matchup. In terms of that goes.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to pick up my life over here. Don't mind me. Just trying to pick up my life. Like, literally.
I'm just trying to pick up my life.
Literally trying to pick up my life. Like, can't even put it into words right now. Like, oh, need a win. Oh, my hamstring hurts. Huh, okay. Need a win. Oh, my knee's bulky. Sorry.
It's his hamstring.
Need a win. Oh, I got a couple headaches on my roster. Literally. A couple headaches.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's the time of the year, man. Stash game is everything right now. Yeah, backup plan after backup plan needs to come and play too. Like I have no can of one league. I have no can of Walker and no Breece Hall.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have that same problem.
Oh yeah, Well, guess what? Yeah, that's all you don't got. You don't not have George Pickens. Don't not have Tillman. I
gotta start Travis Homer today. I have to start Travis Homer today.
Well, I'm starting Calvin Austin. Let's ride.
Seriously, and he's picked up in some leagues I'm in. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me.
Yeah.
Fire move for this today. All right, can I go back to that question?
Yeah, right.
Go back to that question and say we're gonna start fire moves instead.
Oh my god!
There's been new information.
Oh my god!
There's been new information that we need to give you guys.
Ill right now. Physically ill.
Going back to Dylan, start fire move.
Just like I told you. Yeah.
We're at the 1 hour 6 minute mark, bro. Don't go back. Come back to here,
please. Jeez.
Come back to this. Hurry up. Hopefully you're still alive. If you're not, go back to that point in the video before the game starts.
Fucking ill, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
At least we're now to some games that should be a little bit more competitive. Seahawks 7.5 on the road, getting 2.5. This line's been fluctuating. Been up and down. Cardinals were, I think, favored 3.5 initially opening up, and now it's dropped down to 2.5. This is a big divisional game for division purposes and for playoff implications. So what I like best about this game is that Metcalf is playing this game. Yeah, I double checked these injury reports. Metcalf is playing today, which is good for Seattle. For the Cardinals side, like these two teams matched up 2 weeks ago with the Cardinals only scoring 6 points. So they're at home now. And that's interesting that the line is now, what it still is, that the Cardinals are favored by 2.5. I just think the Cardinals has been it's just a weird team all year in terms of predicting what's going to happen with them on a weekly basis. It's been very volatile. The news is that for them is that they've had matchups where they've had like a third, toughest schedule based on expected points all year long. So I'll give them that. And now no Kenneth Walker in this matchup. We got Charbonnet starting for this game. So there's a lot to consider for this matchup. McBride could tear the roof off this defense again. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those classic divisional games, bro. Give me the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals, I just have to bank on them in terms of their defense has been a lot better in the last couple of weeks. Seattle has been good defensively as well. I do think Kyler Murray is going to have to use his legs more in this game more. He's going to have to get out there and perform with his legs, in this matchup. He's going to have to take advantage of Marvin Harrison Jr. Like this offense, it's now or never for the Cardinals, in my opinion. They lose this game, it's over. Just count them out of the playoffs. Make this a playoff game for them today. Because if they don't win this game, just count them out. I think they've been a solid team, a little bit more of a surprise all year long. But count these guys out if they lose today. Because Seattle's going to take their, Seattle's been taking their lunch money, and they may just take it again in this matchup. I just think I'm going to go with the Cardinals because I do think that they have never really put it all like enough together consistently. But I think this is the game they have to put it all together today.
Man. When are you going to learn messing with them Cardinals, man? Your boy, Kyler Murray. Can't quit him, can you?
You see this hand? It's getting burnt on the stove.
I know. Can't quit him. Can't quit him, man. Can't quit him. Yeah, man, obviously I like the Seahawks in this game, man. I think the Cardinals have been playing better defensively, but just again looking at some of the other, deeper stats, man, like one of the areas that they have not been very well at over the last 3 weeks has been in the passing game. And we know what the Seahawks are going to do. They're going to throw the football. And Zach Charbonnet, one of his calling cards is that he was a better receiving back than Ken Walker was. So I just think the stage is set for the Seahawks to continue to keep winning. To keep winning. And I think, them going here to Arizona and getting a big division win puts them in the driver's seat to win the division. Matter of fact, as I'm saying this out loud, I might just go ahead and cash out one of my parlay bets that I have. Actually, no, that was more for the Falcons, actually. But, yeah, man, I like where they're at right now. I think, you're starting to see, you've seen JSN evolve. DK Metcalf been a little bit stagnant. I think some of us had, a higher hopes for him. But yeah, man, I'm all in on these guys right here. Marvin Harrison, still kind of struggling to still kind of find his way. Should expect a little bit more from James Conner in this game. That's one thing I'll say. Is we should expect a little bit more from him in the running game. Maybe that's the play. Maybe that's the plan for the Cardinals today is to come out and run the football and be a little bit more effective in the run game. That would be one place I would say maybe to start at. But otherwise than that, man, like I said, for me, man, it's just the Cardinals have been struggling in the passing game, and we know what the Seahawks are going to do. The Cardinals are 84. They have an 84% adjusted completion rate against their defense. So obviously, that's really good for Geno Smith and company as well. And then also too, just taking a look at the deep throw, they're one of the top 10 worst defenses over the last 3 weeks on this slate. On the deep throw. So I think that bodes well for all three of the receivers for the Seahawks. So I'm saying all that in a really long-winded way to say, give me the Seahawks. I'm still going to take the under in this game just because the last game was a slugfest, and we kind of talked about that, and I had mentioned it. I was like, I don't see this game going over just because of the familiarity and just the way those two defenses have been playing. And I think we'll get a similar situation today. Maybe we get 30 to 37 points in this game, but I don't think it's going to go over that 44.5. And then from a DFS perspective as well, let me just kind of hit on that as well. I got to try to get back on my game and get my life together. But Zach Charbonnet is absolutely one of the chalk of the slate at almost 50%, which when you get to that point, that makes me want to say fade because
there's other spots you can go to.
Yeah, there's so many different spots you can go to, and then too, if he doesn't hit, you're already ahead of half the field. So maybe that's something. Man, yeah. Once we get off of here, man, I'm gonna have to go back and readjust everything, man. This is sickening. Trey McBride had a monster game against these guys too 2 weeks ago, so
he did. Yeah,
that's something else maybe too to think about as well. You're looking at the tight end position, so
no, totally, and that's McBride killed these guys last game, but again, 6 points for the Cardinals last week didn't contribute to points, so it's going to have to be Marvin Harrison Jr. unlocked. He does get a good matchup today, playing against who's the other? Not Witherspoon, but who's the other corner that
Kobe?
Yes, So he gets to, they have to take that advantage of that match. Marvin Harris got that huge game in order for them to win, which I think can happen here because Marvin Harrison Jr., we've been waiting for him to unlock. Another guy we've been waiting for to be unleashed and unlocked all year long, and it hasn't happened to the extent that most of us expected. So you're hoping that Murray and these guys get on the damn same page. But yeah, next game, Bears, Niners. Bears getting 3.5 on the road going into San Francisco to take on the Niners. 5-7. Niners on the outside looking in terms of the playoff picture today. Over under 43.5. Again, another situation where we're dealing with a ton of injuries, especially on the Niners side. Do we know if Trent Williams is playing this game? I don't think he is, but
I don't think he is playing. I can check real quick, but I don't think he is playing.
I don't think he's playing today either. I thought Bosa was definitely in, but I have to double check.
Bosa's definitely out.
He's definitely out. Okay.
Yeah. Trent Williams is definitely out. Yeah.
Yeah. So out is Bosa and freaking Trent Williams again. Yeah, the Niners can't get they can't get lucky. No CMC now, no Jordan Mason. Both those guys on IR now. We have Isaiah Guerrero starting. So most for everyone that's waiver wired in, stuff like that, got him on the waivers. Congratulations if you won the sweepstakes, because I spent all my fab dollars, you know what I'm saying, on it in some of my leagues. So
yeah, we didn't even get a chance to talk about that. I was expecting you to talk some shit on that draft night out because
not at all. It is what it is, man. This is the time of the year. You got to put it all on.
Well, I couldn't, like, you had more money than I did, so there's nothing I could do about it. You
put all your money on the Yahoo League to get him, so
yeah.
So that's where we're at. I don't care.
Yeah,
at this point, I don't care. It's waivers. Waivers is gonna be waivers, and now
I was just expecting you to talk shit. That's all. That's what you do. I was expecting that. Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, okay, I'm trying to take the high road. I heard that.
Hit you with the curveball. But in terms of this game, I do. The Bears getting 3.5 is interesting. Caleb Williams played a lot better. Man. But in San Francisco, I know with no Joey Bosa, no Trent Williams, that's what makes it tough. Obviously, no CMC. Purdy's back, which is a good thing because it's not a snow game today. The Bears defensively has been a little bit shaky over the last couple of weeks. Man, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean,
I'm taking the Bears and the points, man.
I was thinking that too, but I was like, well, it's just Purdy's it was just super hot before the injury happened, and then the game that he left, and then so we throw that game out the window, and then the snow game pretty much we have to throw out the window as well. Before that, he was averaging like 24 fantasy points per game. In Chicago right now, has a lot of league high 9.3 yards per pass play and 66% completion rate over the last 3 games. That's quarter PFF. Give me. You probably give me the Bears and the points. Yeah, you probably give me the Bears and the points. They're starting Travis Homer today. Oh, you picked up Tyler Lockett. Nice.
Yeah, I got Newton, bro. It's my life is a mess. My life is a mess. It's a mess. You enjoy every moment of this. Enjoy every moment of it. This is what you wanted.
Hey, listen, the tables have turned live on this show. I can't say anything. It's just literally, Jerome. Just the tables have turned live on this show. Yeah, we were just bashing me with the Jets, like the Steelers.
Shut up, man. Shut up.
No, man, you gotta freaking take it.
Unbelievable. It's this day started off with so much promise, man. I was like, you know what? I was like, today's a good day. I was like, I got my plan, I got my scheme, I got my little data. I was like, all right, like I'm cool. Like this is where I'm at.
Still in the playoff hunt. There's things
they are, man. But like this, even still though, dude, like you should you don't want to find yourself having to it's the AFC North. Like, yo, if you got a chance to run through the tape, just run through the tape, man. But I think obviously they're looking at it like, yo, we want to make sure that hey, everybody's good to go, for the stretch run. And that's just what it is, man. But go ahead.
No, I get it. But yeah, I guess give me the Bears for the points here. Caleb Williams been playing a lot better. We saw that on Thanksgiving night. And again, it's just, do we expect the Niners have not looked like the Niners
No.
with these injuries? Like Trent Williams is a big difference
Yes.
as well with this game. And again, we all know Garendo can have a nice big run and something like that in this game. And the Chicago Bears defense has been more of a pass funnel. You're attacking them through the air at the moment. I just don't. The Niners are just proven to us time and time again that this team is just, they're too beat up. And then it'd be nice, of course we talk shit and then all of a sudden they come and beat these Bears by 10 points, right? But the new change, you know what I'm saying, for finally getting this idiot Matt Eberflus out of there, is Thomas Brown knew that, and then Thomas Brown has had like the elevation of all elevations, bro.
I rock with him.
He went from game calling coordinator to then the OC.
All OC did the head coach.
And then the head coach all in like a 3-week time span.
Yeah. And think about it, dude. Like, a couple of wins, man, and like, who knows, bro? Who knows?
So yeah. Go with the Bears for the 3.5. Sprinkle that money line for the win. And now a more interesting game that has playoff implications. The Bills going on the road, getting 3.5 going into Los Angeles. This line went down from when I checked it earlier on the week. It was like 4.5. So it went down a whole point. Do you know why it went down? I'm trying to see if it was like are we expecting a different, someone not playing? Like, I don't think Dalton Kincaid should have moved the needle that much for not playing today.
I mean, that's really nothing else other than that, man.
Like, I didn't see anything that was like, Jared Verse expected to play for the Rams, which is good for them. But I didn't see anything that was so like off kiltering that was like, so I don't know. I mean, but anyhow, discussing these games, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, I itched my eye. The Bills going on the road here in this matchup. This is similar to the Sunday Night Football matchup when the Eagles took on the Rams the week prior, and that they were favored by like 3.5 or 4.5, whatever. The Eagles just blitzed them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they blitzed them, especially in the second half with Barkley. Not only one big ass run in the first half, but a second big run in the second half to kill them off.
Yep.
I think Josh Allen, these guys have proven that they are just a offensive team that is just going to do enough just to make sure they not only finish teams off, but they overall do it in a way that is just very like, you don't know what's next coming, right? It's like a boxer, you know what I'm saying? They consistent with the jab all match long, and all of a sudden they hit the right hook, left hook, uppercut, and you're done. So I expect the Bills to cover here because I don't know how much fight the Rams have left in this game. If they do have any fight, they'll show in this game. It's a must win for them as well today. So it remains to be seen like how the Rams can, again, receivers going to have decent matchups today. Whoever's Brentford's probably going to take on Puka Nacua, so it's probably a Cooper Kupp game potentially, based on matchups. But then again, like Kyron Williams could also have a decent game because the Bills have been more of a run funnel defense. They've been more susceptible against running the football versus throwing the football. So this could be a Kyron Williams, game as well. But I just expect the Bills to come out and do what they have to do to win this game. And look, if the Chiefs lose Sunday night, they're in first place for the number 1 seed in the AFC. So expect the Bills to cover in this game. Expect them to win this game. And that's what I got.
Pretty much a lot of the same things, man. Definitely the Bills. This should be a game where the Bills should win. A lot of the stats and analytics are pointing towards the Rams having some opportunities in the passing game. So I think like this might be a game where Josh Allen is becomes more of a thrower of the football versus having to run it. But obviously it's not a snow game. But I think too, just like you kind of seen it on Sunday Night Football, just getting him healthy, like getting him out of here healthy. That's got to be one of the bigger pieces. James Cook's been really, really good this year for fantasy managers and for the Buffalo Bills. Somebody I think we both kind of missed on.
A couple guys you missed on are doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Cook and Mixon.
Yeah. And I would say too, like from a DFS perspective, I think this could be Kyron Williams. This could be a really good game for Kyron Williams.
Yeah, I can see that.
The Bills have been giving up a lot of explosive plays in the run game. I think some of that kind of came off of, is baked into what happened last night or last week on Sunday Night Football. But I think like watch out for the Rams run game in this one right here. This might be one of those games where it's like, hey, what's the best way to have a chance to win this game? Wear down this Rams defense, wear down this pass rush that's all of a sudden now, gotten better, and keep Josh Allen and company off the football field. Do that. You seen Blake Corum get in a little bit last week. I think he had 7 or 8 carries last week. So maybe this is a game where they try to slow it down a little bit. But overall, I just think this is a spot where straight up, obviously the Rams win. And I've still always been concerned about the Bills playing against mid to upper tier offenses, and I think McVay kind of falls into that category. So, I'll say I'll take the Rams and the points actually, man. I'll take the 3.5 for the Rams side of things. I think this game is probably going to be a little bit closer than we anticipate. But I do think the Bills are going to be able to pull it out though.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the Rams have some fight here. I just think the Bills are a touchdown favorite here for me. In this matchup where they have to, I know number one, you should see the number one seed or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they gotta secure their win. They gotta handle their business. They have the Chargers handle theirs. They're number one seed heading into this thing with 3 games left in the NFL season. The Rams, they have to win as well here, but I just don't know if the Rams have it all together here for this matchup against the Bills. Sunday Night Football, speaking of the Chargers, 8-4 on the year, taking on the reigning, defending, back-to-back Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, 11-1. Another matchup in divisions where we're like, all right, this should be very enticing in terms of both sides. Do we know if Joey Bosa should be playing today? I'm not sure. Tonight it should be, as far as injuries go.
He is not on the injury report, so
that's good. It's good. Really good actually, because we get the best of the best here. So the Chiefs, we all know, have been just playing. They've just been playing like a team like the Vikings from a couple years back, where or was that even last year, where they were just pulling off all these.
I ain't even gonna give them that. They remind me of one of them New England Patriot teams that was all games were always one possession. This and that, and it's always all these crappy ways for them to finagle their way out of it, man.
Right?
Yeah, it's just and then you try to be like, yeah, well, they're not that good. Oh, what's the record say? 11-1. It's like, okay. all right, yeah, touche, brother, touche.
I feel like we've experienced that a lot in our childhood.
Clearly scarred.
I feel like we got some
clearly scarred. Yeah, that's the one thing we can agree on. Yeah. AFC East guy, Pittsburgh Steelers guy right here. Tom Brady, thank you so much for ruining our childhoods.
Pretty much. Fuck you, Tom.
Yeah. Right.
Respect you as a player, but fuck you, Tom.
Yeah, right.
Anyhow, Patrick Mahomes, he's a little bit more likable.
Yeah.
A little bit more likable. But yeah, I mean, Chiefs getting Chargers here. Chargers been playing really better. In terms of defense goes, they really four interceptions against Cousins.
You like that?
I actually do. But in terms of both of these matchups go, Chargers, like I said, it's going to be a Chargers defense taking on, Mahomes, and he's been a little bit more turnover prone lately. And it's just I don't know what to make of this team moving forward. The line 3.5 seems solid, especially if there's no Lad McConkey tonight. He's got true game time decision, they're saying.
Yeah.
Which is not good for me and some of my fantasy squads. But it is what it is. We're gonna have all these wacky things happening. So it is what it is. But so the Chiefs they signed DJ Humphries, who used to be the Bengals tackle. So I've said it on Wednesday. It was like the Chiefs offensive line, their bookends have been absolute freaking trash to the point where Joe Turley, who's normally a guard, was playing left tackle.
That says everything you need to know right there.
So, so again, like we're looking at this from an angle of like, are the Chiefs going to be able to rectify that in terms of playing this matchup? And this is tough, man. Because if Vlad doesn't play, it's the Chiefs all day. Because we're really gonna trust Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer. Like, Will Dissly has been good, but really gonna trust this cast against the Chiefs. It was Isaiah Pacheco coming back after he was back this past week. He could play a little bit more of a role here, snap percentage wise and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I think it's the Chiefs again. I think they find a way to barely cover this line. Like, let's just say they win by 4 points.
Man,
they are a better team at home, obviously.
They are. Yeah, toughest place to play in the NFL, hands down, no question. I think like one of the things that's like just really interesting for me, man, is just like, like you said, the Chargers have been better, but Harbaugh has really had this team ready to play in practically every game, and like just the familiarity. And even without Harbaugh, like the Chargers have played the Chiefs tough over the last 2 or 3 years. I think that hook on the 3 does kind of make me want to lean a little bit more towards the Chargers side. Just because, like I said, like it's going to be close. It's going to be close, and like when you're the defending world champs, like you get everybody's best shot. And even the last time these teams played, man, I mean the Chargers were there. They were there. So I just I'll take the Chargers and the points, man. And it's an island game, and typically on these island games, man, like these underdogs typically they raise the level of play. And this like you mentioned, man, like there's still a lot of like things that can go sideways for the Chiefs, for the Chargers coming down the stretch. So like there's a lot at stake for this game here, and a lot of things have to play right for the Chargers. But like overall, man, like I think they're for me anyway, man, defensively, I've always loved the talent that like they've had when they're all able to be on the field. They have a lot of really good players, and they match up really well with a lot of things that the Chiefs like to do. So like with that said, like I said, give me that. And then just thinking about too, man, if you're playing on FanDuel, don't forget this is a game that is on the main slate because it's the 8:15 game. So I'll kind of hit on some ownership. Well, I was going to, but I was still on DraftKings. But yeah, don't forget about that, right? Like that's a really good way for you to potentially get different, especially now when you're dealing with some injuries like George Pickens, and be ready to have like some pivots. If you have Vlad McConkey, be ready for some pivots for sure. So welcome to Bimageddon, where this shit is already crazy. So ownership for Kansas City and the Chargers. Not really heavy, man. Highest owned player on the slate is D-Hop, followed by Ladd McConkey. So obviously we'll have to see how that shakes out. And Ladd McConkey's 7,000 on FanDuel. So if you have him in your lineups, you can obviously pivot down to D-Hop if you need to. You can pivot down to Xavier Worthy as well if you need to. That could be another play, and Quentin Johnson. So there's definitely some options if you're still playing any of those guys on the main slate.
Totally. And I just saw something that in the last loss that the Chiefs, the Chargers had to them, there was no Derwin James from suspension. Yep. There was no Joey Bosa because of injury. No Joel, the rookie left tackle, and there was no bookend. The other bookend, Rashawn Slater. So yeah,
it could be close, man. I can see it.
It's definitely always close between these guys. I'm just gonna stick with the Chiefs. I think that despite that, I think the offensive line gets a little bit better in this matchup in terms of just getting off of the schneid, as they say, and I do think that if there's no, especially if there's no Ladd McConkey or he's not 100%, then it's gonna be detrimental for their offense. So that's what I got there. Anything else more to add?
No.
Nah.
Just
okay.
Trying to piece it together.
All right, last game before we talk about the props and our final thoughts for the DFS slate. The Bengals, boy, 4-8 record on the year, getting 5.5 on the road, going into Jerry World. Cowboys are 5-7, which is crazy. The better record than the Bengals right now. Your runner's 49.5. Like I was talking about the question earlier, it's like Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush at quarterback has stabilized this Dallas team a little bit more. Their defense as well is also stabilized a little bit too. So it remains to be seen. The Bengals have just been having some rough luck all year. In terms of their defense, we talked about that earlier on in the year where their defense
lost a lot.
There's nobody on that defense to stop people enough.
No.
So now you're looking at DJ Reader walking, you're looking like, yeah, that was a dumb move.
Jesse Bates, right? Like, there's definitely more than a handful of players that are gone from that defense.
Totally. But DJ Reader, I thought, was definitely someone that was like, you should have locked up. But I digress. I don't know exactly what to think about these teams because there's not too much of like a playoff scenario for either of these teams, really. It's like, do we expect the Bengals to cover the 5.5? Yes, but also Dallas has been playing a lot better. So give me Dallas the 5.5 at home because they've been playing a lot better. Because I think they can also offensively stay in this game with the Bengals, where the defense for Dallas can overall, maybe get a turnover or two, and then all of a sudden the game swings for them. Anything out here, Johnny?
No, man. I like the Cowboys, man. Like you said, like I think
Cowgirls. You like the Cowgirls?
Yeah. I think like
I know, right?
Dallas's defense, man, they've been better. They have been better, and Cincinnati's offense, you know what you're getting with them. But like, I think Micah Parsons, that defense, Diggs, like this is a big game. Like the Cowboys still have an outside chance. So the points in Dallas, like I like that. I don't think it's straight up, but like I like Dallas to be able to hang around in this game right here for sure. So I'll take the Cowboys and the points. I think there's a lot of dysfunction in Cincinnati, and again, this is a Super Bowl for the Cowboys, man.
Agreed. All right. So that being said, we got a few things left to take over. The first one we are talking about is the lock of the slates. We're talking about guys that we should be prioritizing, pretty much locking into our DFS lineups for this week. Johnny, who do you got? As I know you're scrambling after George Pickens' injury.
That is an understatement right now. That is an understatement because George Pickens actually was my guy. He actually was the guy that I had. That was my lock of the slate.
And he's a freaking cover boy, and he goes out.
That was my lock, man. That was my lock, man. So I'm like, one of the guys like I am playing a lot of. It's actually there's two guys I just like the game setup. I'm just like you, I guess, like the Arizona Cardinals are the team and the Tennessee Titans are my team, apparently. But going back to the well with Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard, those are guys that like I'm playing a lot of. I'm only playing like 4 or 5 lineups in DraftKings, but overall, on the FanDuel side of things, one of my highest owned players is Alvin Kamara and Saquon Barkley. I'm locking those guys in because I think it's really – this is a slate where you can do that with those guys because of the chalk pieces that are there with Charbonnet and stuff. So, like, don't overthink it. Play Alvin Kamara. Play Saquon Barkley if you're playing FanDuel, and don't overthink it, man.
I like that. Malik Neighbors has the matchup. If you look for the pivot on Pickens, I think Neighbors should be the guy when it comes to full point PPR leagues. Maybe FanDuel's a little different. But I think the matchup in terms of corner wide receiver versus corner matchup, like Neighbors has it all day. Because the Saints have been just atrocious when it comes to covering receivers, especially the last 3 weeks. So in terms of Neighbors was like looking like a guy that he might be in, might be out. We didn't know. But yeah, look, like if Drew Lock's gonna have any success today,
Bro, I am literally like, I am a mess right now. Can't
oh my
like, I don't
goodness,
like,
yeah.
I am a mess.
I'm a mess right now. He said.
I feel like one of them R&B singers right now. I would even sing, but my throat's all dry, my nose all stuffy. I'm a mess right now, man.
Oh my
I'm a mess.
goodness, yo.
And then I got
You crying?
and then I got some bum in one of my home leagues texting me about not making the playoffs, and I'm like, bruh, like,
talk about insult to injury.
I just like that's what I want to be like. You couldn't even tell me the college of two of the players on your roster. Like, you're a bum, and the luck gods happen to strike down on you. God bless you.
Gods, he said.
God bless you, man. I wish you the best of luck. I wish you the best of luck. I sincerely, truly do. Fucking gumps, man. Gumps.
He said gumped? What's that mean?
Gumps. Fucking unreal. His team sucks. The Falcons are trash. Like, oh my God.
Hold on. Went from locking the slate to old man segment.
Yeah, like it's just like and I get it. Like it's all a part. It's all a part of it, right? You know,
all part of it.
Yeah, it's all part of it, man. It really is. But like it's one of those generic leagues, right? Where like, you know, I'll play with the guys and I'm like, all right, like, yeah, like, you know, I'll get in here or whatever. And you know, it's like two running backs, 2 receiver, 1 flex. So I'm like, guys, like, why don't you add another flex spot to this here? And like, nobody wants to add another flex spot. Why?
Don't you hate those leagues though?
No, I'm just like, dude, like, why? Like, why? Why? And I don't have anything to say. I'm a degenerate, so I'm gonna play in the league. But I'm just like, dude, like I'm like, yo, like, come play in a grown man league and see how you fare. And one of the guys plays in a grown man league with me, and his team has sucked every year for the last 5 years.
So in terms of that, what would you say is grown man material?
I would say, like, at least, dude, you at least got to have 3 wide receivers, like 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and like if you want to have 1 or 2 extra flex spots, like that's cool. Like
I think double flex. So the commission league, my league I commission is 3 receivers, 2 running backs, tight end, double flex.
Yeah, like that's a grown man league. Like, come play in a grown, like I should say grown man. That's a grown up league. Like, that's a grown up league. Come play, come show you know what you're talking about. But when you get, like, you know, past that, like, I hate those leagues, and I hate leagues that are like 4 or 5 bench spots. It's like, dude, why? Like, why? I would much rather play in a league that has kickers and defenses with 6 or 7 bench spots and 2 flex spots. 100%, man. So, anyways, I gotta stop because I got shit to do.
But yeah, my lock of the slate here is Malik Neighbors. His separation report on the year is absolutely crazy. He's a beneficiary, guy that's going to get a ton of the work is in the usage here outside Tyrone Tracy and stuff. But I think in a game where the Saints can easily go up 14-0 in this game, I think Malik Neighbors going to get all this receiver usage. So Ali, when Daniel Jones is in the game, like, I could easily see a game where Neighbors just goes sick, like when he earlier on in the year, like a 12-catch game, a 10-catch game for over 100 yards, something like that. Like, we all know DraftKings gives out the bonuses. So Malik Neighbors pretty much a lock for me. I would tend to agree with you with the Kamara situation because I think that, you know, he just ran all over the Rams last week, and they have no other receiving or too many weapons on this offense, really. So it's like, where else do you go? It's like everyone in the stadium should know where Kamara should be getting the ball constantly. So, so I like that. I think for pivots, not exactly locks, but pivots, because we got to think about pivots today. Kyron Williams is the pivot for me.
Yes,
7,300, and we talked about, just to combinate what I just talked about with Alvin Kamara, gashing them, like the Rams, but Kyron Williams, in terms of gashing the Buffalo Bills, they've been a bottom 10 defense against rushing yards allowed. So I definitely like that in terms of like a pivot play. Same thing in the same game, James Cook, if you're going to pivot at running back. because I think if Buffalo's going to stay up in that game, they're going to have to grind out James Cook there.
Yes.
And like I said, I'm not going to say he's a lock, but Parker Washington, someone to very consider for the volume usage at 4,400. Like maybe Evan Ingram, Brian Thomas as well, but I think Parker Washington for everything underneath Duncan with Mac Jones and stuff like that. Like we all know he's a dunker. he's a he's a pop gun quarterback, so he just shorts, everything will pop, pop, pew, pew,
check down Charlie.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Literally. So there's that. All right, on to the prop segment. So the prop shop is 90 and 67 on the year, 57% on the year. Feeling pretty good. Just want to get up that. I want to get up to that 60% so bad before year's end. We had 12-5 record this past week on the props. So, coming together now a little bit in terms of the last couple of weeks, been pretty fire the last couple of weeks. So I got top 3 prop plays. Those are Achane over 88.5 rushing receiving. Achane has been not only a favorite of mine all year, ironically now faces the Jets, where I know the line movement definitely moved overnight because Raheem Morris was ruled out. So if you're able to get this line, cool. If you were not, I still like the rushing yardage at like 61.5 on DraftKings. Because I think the Jets are lost without CJ Mosley in the middle of that defense. And, again, Miami could get up in this game pretty early. And then with no Raheem Mostert, we could see a little bit more Jalen Wright. So that's a little bit more of a interesting case. But I still think Achane goes out and get his production early on. Again, what we've seen all year with Miami is that they've been definitely doing a lot more short and intermediate with Jonnu Smith, with Achane versus Waddle. So that could definitely still show its head here today. David Njoku, 44, over 44.5 receiving yards. This is way too low. I know Pittsburgh is a solid defense, but in terms of the Browns and how Winston just keeps on firing the football and still no Cedric Tillman, David Njoku is either the 1 or the 2, and most times the Browns are going to throw the football. So I'm loving David Njoku. This line's too low, over 44.5 receiving yards. And then Parker Washington.
Your boy.
I'm calling it today. Josh Reynolds got signed by Jacksonville, but he's not playing today. So all you have to really worry about is Brian Thomas and Evan Ingram. I think Parker Washington definitely takes some of that, short intermediates away from Brian Thomas and from Evan Ingram. And when it comes to, again, this was the guy Mac Jones was looking for as soon as he got back in the game. So it goes to show that, this guy's, they not only have the chemistry, but he's playing he's playing that slot role, which again, Tennessee's been getting cooked by NFL receivers in terms of the matchup for the slot. So
did you just say by NFL receivers?
By NFL. Oh yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
I was gonna say I love that. I love that being getting cooked by NFL receivers.
Yeah, I've been they have been getting cooked by NFL receivers. Yeah, I know, right? Not getting cooked by college receivers, right? I mean, some of them are questionable at the beginning of the NFL.
I might take that one. I might take that.
Yeah, I know, right? Feel free to. The rest props on the board. So I already talked about Achane. Like I said, you could take the rushing as well. At 60 or 61.5, because all it takes is 1 from Achane, and I think he still gets enough of the volume to get there in the rushing department as well. Bryce Young over 192 passing yards over, and then Gainwell over 20.5 rush yards. Play them both, play them singly. I like them both in a matchup where even if the Eagles keep this game relatively close, I still expect Gainwell to get over the 20 yards rushing because he's getting the spell work. He's playing behind a very potent offensive line. Barkley can't do it all. We all know Hurts can as well, but I'm not saying Barkley can't do it all. But I'm just saying in general, Gainwell over 20.5 rush yards with potential for the Eagles be up crazy in this game. Gainwell could definitely get there in terms of his line. Bryce Young over 192 half passing yardage, just because the Carolina Panthers should be throwing from behind constantly in this game. Bryce Young has covered this line in the last 2 games that the Panthers have looked a lot more better in terms of as a team as a whole. Kamara over 82.5 rush yards. Kamara, the Giants are getting cooked by running backs, and they're 27th in DVOA for running backs this year. So Kamara has been definitely getting there. No Dexter Lawrence, he's on the IR. No Akira K, he's out today. Like, so everything bodes well for Kamara to get over the 82.5 rush yards. Talked about David Njoku already, but we're going to talk about Russ Wilson over 231 half pass yards. Even though with George Pickens, because he is ruled out today, I still expect Russ Wilson to definitely fire the football a ton more. The Browns defense has been still susceptible against the throw over the last couple of weeks, especially if we look at how, the Browns defense is, again, getting cooked by Bo Nix, getting cooked by all these guys. So definitely liking Russell Wilson still, even with Pickens out. We got Will Levis over 211 pass yards. He's looked better as well over the last couple of weeks based on how we see matchups go. So Will Levis has covered this line ever since he's looked a lot better the last few weeks. He's projected to be, again, a higher owned guy on the DFS slate per instance, but Jaguars defense has just getting worked. They're getting bodied and they're getting worked. So that's all I'm going to say. Parker Washington here, talked about him earlier. Calvin Ridley over 65.5 receiving yards, gets a matchup like we talked about earlier against Ronald Darby. Definitely loving that. And then Tony Pollard over 16.5 receiving yards. I think it's 17 or 18 on some books. But Pollard gets the ball. He gets to check down work. And then, the Jaguars still play a ton of man coverage. So that's where Pollard can easily get susceptible to the middle of the field, second level. And he should get at least 3 catches in the game, but I'm going with the receiving yards. Mike Evans, talked about a little bit of this earlier, but over 74.5 receiving yards. This line went up from like 68. So it's only because, again, the Bucs are going to be throwing Mike Evans the football. If they're going to have a big say in winning this game, it's going to be because Mike Evans did his work. And I took the catches for him as well, but I'm only going with the receiving yards for the absolute play. So again, the Bucs are going to be saying winning this game is going to be through Mike Evans, especially with Bucky Irving a little bit more banged up. We could see a little more Rashad White, but I think Mike Evans is going to be the dog, obviously. Justin Jefferson, we're going back to the well. Over 84.5 receiving yards. Jefferson, we're still waiting. It could be this game where he just blows the heck up. So we're still waiting on that.
Right.
Come on, man.
It's time.
It's wakey, man. It's time of the year now. But Atlanta, they've been getting dusted, through the air. And they don't, again, not too much pass rush from Atlanta. They're like 30th in pass rush in terms of pressure goes. So Darnold should have an opportunity to carve up this Falcons offense Falcons defense once again. Neighbors, a little late addition, over 5.5 catches, because again, Drew Lock is again a little check down Charlie type of guy. But I think the 5.5 receptions should be relatively somewhat easy against the Saints defense, who since Marshawn Lattimore has not been a part of their defense, they've been getting cooked as well by receivers. So definitely neighbors. The 4:00 games got a couple that I have here. Not as many as I probably would hoped, but the slate is just not looking so well across the board. Kyler Murray over 26.5 rush yards. Look, like in terms of what we know it's a big game for them. So Kyler Murray is going to have to pull everything out of his bag today. If there's going to be any hope for these guys to, again, win this game, it's going to be through Kyler as well. But he's going to have to use his legs a lot more. He only got 2 carries. He only attempted 2 rushes in the last game they played Seattle. I expect this to be up to at least 6 in this matchup. And I expect that to at least be if you want to take as long as rushing, I think as long as rushing was like 11.5 or something. You could take that as well, but I definitely like the rushing yards in a matchup where Kyler Murray's got to use more of his legs in this game today. And then the single game parlay for the 4:00 game, if you want to take piece by piece, please do. But James Cook over 61.5 rush yards, that is too light for a team that just allowed Kamara to run all over them the previous week in a matchup that was still the pace of that game was pretty snail paced, and Kamara still did it, in big chunkage. So James Cook, this was very close to making the top 3 plays for me. But I definitely like James Cook for sure. Stafford over 251.5 pass yards. Again, the Rams are going to have to get this thing done on the Stafford's shoulders. The offensive line is more healthy. So again, the Buffalo Bills defense could still get there in some ways, but I still expect Stafford to get over this line. Get both of his weapons back, and with Kyler back there as well. Again, this is a game they can't afford to feel like they're having a letdown spot. And Stafford has done this in, I would say, so in the last 6 matchups, he's only done this. He's done this line in 4 of the last 6 matchups. The last 2 he hasn't. So I expect a bounce back spot for him in this matchup. Josh Allen over 31.5 rush yards. Look, we all know Allen's susceptible for running as well. And in terms of the last game, he didn't run too much because of the snow and the traction and all that. But before that last game, he did it in 3 of the last 4. So I got Josh Allen here for over the 31.5 rush yards. Johnny, any final thoughts for the people?
Pray for me. Pray for me. Pray for me. Just pray, put a little prayer out there for the fantasy guys for me today. All this grinding and all this.
I know it
fantasy,
comes down to this.
Yeah, all this grinding and all this fantasy trapping.
All the late nights.
All these late nights and early mornings comes down to George Pickens' damn hamstring. And everybody,
it's a cruel game we play.
Yeah, it is. It's a cruel game. Only for my wife to come in here and go, "What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened?" Oh man, listen. If you're watching and your significant other, these are my final thoughts. If you're watching and your significant other is invested in this, please give them some grace. Be patient with them. Just know, this is pretty much it. This is it. This is the last week of the regular season for most fantasy owners.
Kirk Franklin song. This is it.
Lord, I could go for another Kirk Franklin song. Be encouraged. Man, yes, I'm trying to be.
I like that.
That is.
Soul Brother. All right.
Yeah, yes, sir. But no, man, like it comes down to this, right?
Sure does.
So, we've given you everything we've got here. This whole 14 weeks, man, as far as perspective and insights and hopefully entertainments and laughs. But this is what it all comes down to. So, if you've been watching, definitely best wishes to you. Good luck to you for sure. I can't even tell you what's going on right now. I'm still trying to piecemeal together my lineups, man. So God bless you. Week 14, Malik Neighbors, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley. Let's get busy.
Yep. Final thoughts is definitely this is we got 30 minutes till the slate starts. Just double check your waiver wires right now. There could be some gold still hanging there. There could be some people not checking their lineups for whatever reason. You're hoping that they don't, because I see a couple of people that may have not checked their lineups, whatever, and it still could be looking good for you. But definitely check those waivers last minute for sure on anything that's coming up. Also, get creative. Look ahead for the week ahead now. If there's a defense out there that's got good matchups upcoming, or certain guys that were not picked up for the waivers, just double check those for the upcoming week, because you just never freaking know what is out there. So, but that being said, good luck to everybody in their DFS lineups. Good luck in their season-long matchups as we look to get to our fantasy football championship games and to win those, so we can show off the bling and again tell our friends that they can't fuck with us. That being said, the next time you'll see us is Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Waiver Wire Week 15 edition, where if you're in the playoffs, congratulations. If you're not, better luck next year.
Don't go out messing up the league, man, picking up people and shit if you already out. Don't be that guy either, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, if you're
guy.
Already out of it,
don't be that
just
guy.
Playing spoiler,
it's
difference. The only
difference between playing spoiler and being a jerk. Big difference. If you ain't did shit all year long and you're not even playing and it's just like the toilet bowl and there's nothing, don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk.
Or they say, don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that. But next, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be here. to give you guys all best advice for the upcoming playoffs. If you guys are there already, or the last game for some people, their regular seasons, we got you guys covered. So that being said, follow us on X, listen to us on Spotify, follow us on YouTube, because we are still consistently going. So for Johnny, for me, we out. Good luck to you guys. We see y'all on Tuesday night.